Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall. They censor us, but it doesn't change the truth. Joe Biden's open border is killing Ohioans, with more illegal drugs and more Democrat voters pouring into this country. This issue is personal. I nearly lost my mother to the poison coming across our border. No child should grow up an orphan. I'm JD Vance, and I approve this message because whatever they call us, we will put America first.
The team has looked into claims by Senator J.D. Vance and Trump running mate and other conservatives that Haitian immigrants in Ohio are eating pets. And CBS News confirmed found those claims are baseless.
Hello, and welcome to Exposed News Outlet, where we shed light on topics that matter most. I'm your host, Andrea. Today, we're talking about Turning Point KKK dog whistles and the Turning Point Meltdown. But before we do, if I could just ask if you could please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, like this video, and share it on your platforms to get the message out to the masses. It really helps out a lot. Thank you. Without further ado, let's get to the news. Turning Point KKK Meltdown. Let's be very clear about what happened at Turning Point USA. I call it Turning Point KKK if you haven't noticed yet. In Arizona, because this wasn't just conservative infighting. This was the mask slipping off in real time. What we saw was a room full of grifters, opportunists, and billionaire-backed industry plants eating each other alive. And the American people are supposed to believe these people are fighting for them? You have to be joking. Ben Shapiro and the right-wing circular firing squad. Ben Shapiro took jabs. Tucker Carlson took jabs, Bannon took jabs, they all took jabs at each other because the so-called movement has no core values, only ego, power, and money. This wasn't about policy, not healthcare, not wages, not even housing, not education. It was about who controls the grift. Shady Vance. Dog whistles, not dignity. And then there's Shady Vance. Shady Vance didn't stand up to racism. He didn't draw a line. He didn't condemn white nationalism. In fact, he inflamed it. Instead, he used the same tired psychological manipulation the right wing always uses, swapping the word racist with controversial. Let's call it that what it is, a dog whistle. When J.D. Vance says controversial, what he really means is racist, extremist, bigoted, but he softens the language to keep plausible deniability. That is intentional. That is propaganda, my friends. If he won't defend his own family, why should anyone trust him? Shady Vance has an immigrant wife. Shady Vance has mixed-race children. And yet, when white nationalist ideology is being pushed, normalized, and platformed in the spaces he occupies, he says nothing. In fact, sometimes he instigates it. If he won't stand up against racism when it directly threatens his own family, why on earth would anyone believe he will stand up for yours? Silence in the face of bigotry is not neutrality. It is consent. Watch this clip.
Vice President J.D. Vance now says xenophobia is totally cool. He's kind of saying the quiet part out loud. He talks about what's wrong with not wanting neighbors that speak a different language. I want to talk about the substance of what he says here.
Who's out of the house is actually evicted from the house because there are people who are going to pay more for rent. And then what happens is 20 people move into a 3-bedroom house, 20 people from a totally different culture, totally different ways of interacting. Again, we can respect their dignity while also being angry at the Biden administration for letting that situation happen and recognizing that their next door neighbors are going to say, well, wait a second, what is going on here? I don't know these people. They don't speak the same language that I do. And because there are 20 in the house next door, it's a little bit rowdier than it was when there was just a family of 4, a family
These loud neighbors speaking a different language.
of 5. It is totally reasonable and acceptable for American citizens to look at their next door neighbors and say, I want to live next to people who I have something in common with. I don't want to live next to 4 families of strangers.
Do you all remember that J.D. Vance's wife, Usha Vance, was born to an immigrant family who presumably at some points spoke a different language at home? Her parents were some of the people speaking another language next door. My family was a family speaking a different language next door. This is just the normalization of xenophobia and racism, allowing people to say, it's okay that I believe this stuff, and it's okay to say it too. And he does it with this sort of like, I'm just asking questions kind of approach that Republicans use when they know they're probably going too far, but they can't really help themselves. And he has spent months now trying to build this weird kind of nationalist identity politics about the big moral crisis of America being, do your neighbors speak Spanish or Mandarin or anything that's not English? And this is where the Republican Party is right now. And they're not bothering with the coded language anymore. They don't feel like they need to. They're fine at this point, kind of just saying it's not cultural cohesion. It's not community values. You know, the squishy terms they often use to imply the things they want to say. They are now just fine saying it's totally normal and respectable not to want neighbors who speak a different language. Direct quote from the Vice President of the United States. You know, when we go back to the start of MAGA and Trumpism, I have long believed, and I think that this still holds true, that Trump didn't create new racists or xenophobes or homophobes. To a degree, even from people, LGBT people who know Trump, they go, I don't think the guy is personally homophobic. He's using all of this different stuff to try to get ahead politically. It doesn't make it any better. But the point is, I believe what Trump really achieved is disinhibiting people. And J.D. Vance is one of those people who is now willing to just straight up say, totally normal thing not to want foreigners speaking a different language living next to you. Normal, good, healthy thing. And the defense has become much more pointed because they've calculated probably correctly that there's no downside to saying this stuff.
Shady Vance is an industry plant, not a populist. J.D. Vance is not some grassroots voice. He is a billionaire manufactured product placed exactly where Peter Thiel wanted him. He doesn't talk about policy because policy doesn't matter to him. In fact, he talks about division, culture wars, and wedge issues because that's the business model. This isn't leadership, it's social engineering. And with him idolizing Curtis Yarvin and other draconian extremists that want to literally strip away the Constitution, dismantle the government, and push a corporate CEO, is what they call it, instead of a president. It's called a dictator. And it's literally anti-American in everything that we stand for. Nicki Minaj and the blonde hair, blue eyes lie. And then we have Nicki Minaj, an immigrant from Trinidad, standing on a Turning Point KKK stage, pushing one of the most absurd white grievance myths in existence. She claimed that blonde-haired, blue-eyed people are being shamed. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That has never happened. Not historically, systemically, not culturally. In fact, history shows the exact opposite. Blonde hair, blue eyes have been upheld as the beauty standard, the power standard, and the protected class, especially in like the Nazi era, which they're trying to bring back. This is revisionist nonsense, and it's dangerous. An immigrant co-signing her own erasure. Nicki Minaj is an immigrant from a region where U.S. imperialism, violence, and exploitation are very real. And yet she's co-signing the same ideology that dehumanizes immigrants, fuels deportations, and excuses extrajudicial violence and war crimes. Watch this clip.
That has been a struggle for young women today. And then also, since both of us have little boys, I would love for you to also talk about the male side of that question as well.
Okay, well, something that I've noticed recently is that for little girls, I think that no matter how you look, we should be trying to instill into them to be proud of how they look. Recently, in the media, it's almost been like a push to, it's not just making young black children feel proud of themselves, but it's almost like doing that and at the same time telling other children not to be proud of themselves. And I don't want any child feeling that way. If as black women, we felt that we were not being represented and not being admired for our beauty, if we felt like that as black women, why would we want to do that to other women? Amen. Why would we now need to make other people downplay their beauty so that we can feel, no, that's not how it works. I don't need someone with blonde hair and blue eyes to downplay their beauty because I know my beauty. Do you understand? It doesn't bother me that a woman feels and says that she's beautiful. Amen. Why shouldn't she feel that? Why have we gotten to a point where certain colors or certain kinds of people have to be afraid of loving themselves and loving the way they look? Mm-hmm. Like, isn't that wild? Yeah. And so for little girls, I don't want what was done to little black girls done to little white girls. I don't want it done to any girls. I want all the little girls in the world to know that you are unique, you are beautiful, you are you, and you can compliment another girl, you can compliment another woman and still know that you are epic and amazing. So that's what I would say for the girls. And I know I know my adults understand clearly where I'm going with that, where I'm getting, I don't like that. I don't like people making other people feel badly about themselves in any way. We need to nurture young girls. Yes, whether they are black, white, Asian, Hispanic, they still need to be nurtured. They cannot continue to pay for other people's sins. They haven't done anything wrong.
What do you think about for young men? For young men.
And for young men, don't be new scum. Yes, see, dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did. I love you. I love you. You have to laugh about it, truly. I have been called every single thing, and you know what? God is so good, you let it roll right off your back. And this is what's so beautiful about this moment, because if the internet wants to clip it, who cares? I love this woman. She's an amazing woman. She has a soul and a heart for the Lord. And words are words, but I know her heart, and it doesn't even matter. And you say what you want to say because I know your heart. I will not judge that.
Sister. Thank you. For boys, be boys.
Amen.
Be boys. It's okay. Be boys. It's nothing wrong with being a boy.
Amen.
How about that?
Amen.
How powerful is that? How profound is that?
Amen.
Boys will be boys, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Whether she's being extorted, paid, manipulated, or simply chose the wrong side, history will not be kind. She did not speak truth to power. She performed for it, literally tap dancing. The Heritage Foundation exodus, the cracks are showing. And let's not ignore the bigger picture. There is a mass exodus happening from the very institutions that built Project 2025, including the Heritage Foundation itself. Senior figures are leaving. Some are fleeing to Mike Pence's nonprofit. Others are quietly distancing themselves because they see what's coming. Even longtime MAGA loyalists are jumping ship because this factory of authoritarianism is unstable, exposed, and collapsing. This isn't a movement. It's a grift eating itself. This is not a political movement. It's not about America. It's not about working people. It's a grift. And now they're turning on each other because the money, power, and credibility are drying up. And when the grift collapses, the truth always comes out. Call to action. If you are tired of propaganda, manipulation, and psychological warfare disguised as politics, subscribe. This is Exposed News Outlet with Drea. We follow the money, we name the lies, and we don't protect power at the expense of truth. Thank you everyone for supporting my channel and watching till the end. If I could have you drop a blue heart in the comments below so I know you watched till the end. Let me know what you think about this and everything that's going on in the first year so far of the Trump regime. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And once again, if I could just ask, if you haven't already, to please subscribe to our channel and select all in the notification box. Like and share the video. And as always, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Thank you. See you next video.